Hello everyone and welcome back to the final chicane with me, Cristinanneboylan. Honestly, I'm glad that the triple header is over because I feel like I need the break. I say that actually every time we have a break, but I do because my mind is just running too fast during Formula 1 weekends and I just need time to take everything in or else I'll literally forget everything that happened. My brain cannot hold this much information, especially after the Barcelona Grand Prix. It was a good race, but then it got like sort of great at the end. It was quite exciting. I really enjoyed it. I was tired, especially during this race, so I needed it to be exciting, and it was. So I did stay awake, and I'm glad because now we have stuff to actually talk about this week. I'll start with our riddle of the week, the final chicane brain game, to ease us into today's podcast episode. So I am doing riddle of the week, like I said, but it is not a driver this time. It is a race, like a particular race, not like a racetrack, like a race. So I did it easy this week because I don't think I've done a race as a riddle before. I don't think I've done anything other than a driver or like a team principal or something. So this might be new. This might be a bad idea. But what race is this, okay? I came, I saw, I finally won. A cursed track, but my work was done. Champagne flowed, the crowd did cheer. I made my biggest splash that year. My fans had so much to gawk when I launched myself right off the dock. Who am I? Or what am I? What race am I? So year and race is what you need. It's an easy one. I think it could probably be... No. I could read this and think of two drivers. So if you get two, that's a bonus point. If you get the two that I'm thinking of. So actually it's just a mind thing. You just have to read my mind, basically, which shouldn't be that hard if you have been listening to these episodes. So let me know. I'll tell you the answer at the end of today's episode. Okay, the media moments today mainly came in the form of the upgrades that everyone was talking about all weekend. Well, especially Friday. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know that was happening this weekend. Was I just not paying attention? Because I feel bad that I didn't bring it up before, and last week I wasn't like, oh, and to expect this next week. But when it came to Thursday and the list of upgrades were out, I was like, when did this happen? When did this spec rule thing come in? So every team but McLaren had some sort of performance upgrade this weekend, and Williams had an extra one. They had a C-spec upgrade. 17 teams brought the new front wing, some floor changes, all to do with the new rule, what word am I thinking of? The new, I don't know, we'll go with rule for now. But yeah, basically with this new setup rule going, it was expected oversteer, which I don't really think we saw, and tire degradation, especially on the rears, which is probably more hard to tell on a track like Spain, where the tire degradation is one of the biggest over the entire calendar. And you know what was interesting? They were saying on Sky that apparently Christian Horner was the biggest pusher for this change, but it ended up like benefiting McLaren more. Like McLaren didn't really have to change anything, whatever they did in Monaco. I don't know. But that is sort of funny that someone was pushing for it and then that actually just boosts the rivals instead. I don't know. It's been one race weekend, so we'll just have to see how the rest go. We had two new faces in free practice one. Rio Hirakawa for FP1 for Haas in place of Esteban Ocon. And we had Victor Martins in for Alex Albon. You know what, actually, F1 Academy, the series, you know, I've been talking about that was out this weekend. And I'm enjoying it. I haven't finished it just yet. I started watching it on the plane and I watched a few episodes last night as well. But one thing I will say about it, to be completely honest here, I love the series. I think it's very important. How it's done, I quite enjoy. It's quite a different vibe to Drive to Survive. It's like, it's intense, but like fun. I don't know. It goes a lot into the backstory of the drivers, which I really like, and like it kept me really engaged the entire way through it. So I would give it a go. But did anyone else like watching it here think how like negative it was to Bianca Bustamante? Because particularly like showing, I don't know, I think it was her performance coach or whatever, and he was just constantly complaining about her. I felt he was so negative. He would say something to the camera and then say the other thing to her in person, and it was so much like, and especially in a series like F1 Academy, I was so surprised that the series was showing almost like saying the reason why Bianca Bustamante stalled at the start, the reason why she went off, the reason why, she didn't qualify as high as she could have is because she also does like modeling outside of F1 Academy, and she does this, and she likes interacting with her fans, and she's a big fan base. Like, for sure, outside stuff can affect you. Like, Formula One can be, and F1 Academy, motorsport can be such a mental game, as can any sport. But also, it was like Leah Block, who is such an interesting person. Like, even just watch the episodes to learn more about her, because she's so interesting. I feel like I'm just rooting for them all on a deeper like level now. But I think it might have been Abby pulling, or it might have been Leah, and one of them said like something like they're not here to model, which is fine because not everyone there wants to model, obviously. But then like it cut to Bianca, and then it was showing like Bianca's purpose in the episodes that I have watched was to be like, this is what happens when you try to do something else feminine outside of racing, Like Bianca posts pictures and makes, I remember she made like a vlog sort of thing on an airplane, and people were like, this is why you're doing not so well in F1 Academy, and this is this and this is this. Like, it's so frustrating, It's almost like the idea that only girls with more masculine preferences and who fit in more with that theme can be racing drivers, of course. Like a girl who likes to post pictures and do modeling, and she likes makeup and she likes clothes. Like, there's no way she can be a racing driver and do well. I don't know. I feel like I definitely need to finish the series before I do my whole rant on it. But yeah, there was a few things that irked me about it, Like, if I was an F1 Academy driver and I'd gained some sort of following because, F1 Academy is more in the light right now and everything like that, you bet I am posting pictures on my Insta like I do now. I'll be trying to get those brand deals. I'll be doing unboxings on my Insta. Like, you can do both. And that's what I was hoping F1 Academy series would show. It would show that you can do both, and you can be any sort of woman and still be in motorsport, still be in this male-dominated sport. That's the point that I'm trying to get across, and that's the point that I think they failed with, in particular with Bianca Bustamante. Like, they started the episode with the Charlotte Tilbury driver, Lola, and saying how she likes makeup and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, this is going in the right direction. But then the Bianca stuff did just like rub me the wrong way. And I was watching it a bit like, but also the performance coach was just so negative. I wouldn't have been like, that negativity would have got to me, to be honest. I'm very much the type of person that's like, this has happened, move on, won't happen again, instead of the complaining about it afterwards, because I feel like that just drains everyone's energy. Let me know your opinions on it though, if you have watched it. And if you haven't, I genuinely recommend giving it a go, because it is really interesting. The first episode, I think, is mainly about Leah Block and Bianca, and then we have the Alcobaces. That was really interesting as well. Yeah, it's just good. Anyway, back to Formula 1. FP1 was a very important session of the weekend. They're all testing the wing, obviously. I think that's why, because Barcelona, we usually see a lot of rookies, because obviously they have to let a rookie driver race, is it twice, one in each driver for each practice session? Yeah, we usually, because Barcelona's obviously a testing track as well, but with that new wing, I think obviously they realised that they would need the time to practice the new wing. So we only had those two rookies and they did fine. I know Rio had an off, but really there was no other drama during that practice session. No drama considering the new changes to the cars as well and the upgrades. So I was expecting a bit more of a bumpy practice session, but we were fine in that regards. FP2, FP3, we could tell from the start that McLaren were going to take it this weekend. Oscar had a very unexpected pace so early on, especially in like FP3, before he was doing like what should have been his fastest laps. He set like a really fast lap. So yeah, other teams were probably nervous after free practice, and they should have been. Also, for Williams fans, I made note of the races that you probably won't want to watch this year. If you've even enjoyed to watch that one, I don't know. With Alex, that was not great. But Jane Vels did say that Budapest and Qatar are going to be some of their tricky races for Williams. So watch out for that one. I say that now and people might like remove Williams for the fantasy teams, and then they'll end up like both on the podium. So just know that could happen. Right, let's go on to qualifying. Quite entertaining actually. Carlos was in a rush to get out and Colapinto had a problem moving off from the pits, and even it looked like Carlos was going to overtake him honestly before that problem even happened. You know, you're obviously not allowed to overtake in the pits unless there is an issue like that, which there was. So everyone ended up overtaking Colapinto because, I mean, they would have just been stuck there because he couldn't get it going. But yeah, Carlos wasted no time overtaking him at the start. The track had ramped up a lot, so it was a bit of an intense session. Not a great lap from Sainz though, and he saw himself going out in Q1 at his home race. Like, imagine the crowd there being so disappointed at that. So sad. Colapinto was out with mechanical issues, so he got the car going briefly again, but in the end he was out anyway. Borletto had a good lap, Lawson had a good lap as well, but on the other hand, Yuki did not have a good lap at all. He had quite a bad lap, and that lap actually put Yuki P20, so he started right at the back. Red Bull did confirm that they just got the setup wrong, basically, and Christian Horner is not too worried about Yuki's performance, or Yuki in particular, for this year. Basically, Yuki is staying for this year, no matter what, I think. But he said he's going to need to improve if Yuki wants to keep a seat for next year, obviously, especially with how Isaac Hadjar is doing. But we have seen them all do so well in the Visa Cash App and then just crumble in the Red Bull. So I don't even know what you do there. I don't know. Yuki, he's still doing better than Liam did. In his first, what did Liam get? Like 3 races, which isn't even like fair to tell. But Liam was really struggling in the Red Bull, and Liam is doing a lot better in the Visa Cash App than he was doing in the Red Bull. Stroll also had a good lap. I was feeling good for him this weekend, but obviously, whoops, that didn't happen. So Q1, Sonoda out, P20, Colapinto, Sainz, Ocon, and Hulk. Remember that, okay? Hulk, P16. That's where Hulk started, guys. Q2, Borletto couldn't get out. Hadjar, though, was unreal. P6. Hadjar, my boy, say that every week, but he keeps impressing me every week. We had P15, Behrman, Stroll, then unfortunately, the pace that sort of looked promising in Q1 sort of did disappear a little. So he was out in P14. Lawson as well, Bortoletto, Albon, with Piastri topping the session again. He topped Q1, did he? I don't know. Not that it really matters if he got through anyway. And then Alonso was looking good. I was like, no, Alonso's going to get top 5 here. But yeah, he didn't. Lando had quite a messy lap. I think he was... See, that's the part of Formula 1 that I would say is mental. Like, you can tell when a lap... Like, he was just too much in his head, like, trying to get the perfect lap for that lap, that he was almost pushing too hard. And it was messy, and he wasn't really hit it. He missed some apexes, and it just wasn't a clean lap at all. He went wide as well at some points. He did improve on his time though, So with a clean lap, Lando could have easily been in contention for pole, but Piastri did take pole and he took it by 2 tenths as well. So it wasn't even too close between the two McLarens at that. I mean, Piastri was on the top of his game all weekend though. Lewis had a good lap. That lap did still find him 5 tenths off of pole. Russell again coming through, bet his teammate. Actually, didn't Max break a record or something this weekend about like how many times he's bet his teammate or something? I heard that. I don't know, guys. So yeah, we had Piastri on pole, Norris P2, Verstappen P3, Russell P4, Hamilton P5, Antonelli P6, Leclerc P7, Gasly, Hadjar, and Alonso. So Alonso finished last in Q3, but it was looking good for a bit. Did he do a final lap? I don't think he did a final lap. Did he? I don't know. Because he set that good lap time like in the middle of the session. So I don't know. But Hamilton did qualify Leclerc, which I think Hamilton probably needs a few more moments sort of like that, especially after Monaco. I know he seemed quite down in his post-race interviews. And he definitely wouldn't have been too happy about this race either, but he did have that qualifying. So at least we've got that. Verstappen and Russell as well had like nearly identical times. I think Verstappen said it first though, so obviously that's how it works. Max got to start P3. F2 was also on this weekend, of course. I probably should have talked about that before qualifying because it was on before qualifying. But obviously after we support Alex Dunn here because he's Irish. I mean, there's a few drivers we can support, but one of them has to be Alex Dunn if you're here. Okay? Deal? Deal. So he had that little 11 car pileup that he may have caused last week. He got a lot of hate for that as well, which was so like, girl, this is what happened. It's motorsport. You know, he ruined his own race as well. Leave him alone, maybe. But he had a good race. He had a good weekend. He started, okay, so he had a 13 place grid penalty, yeah. He started P19. Guess where he finished? P2. Yeah, P2. How much places is that? Like 17 places? Girl, how did he even do that? I mean, of course, he picked the right strategy. But a strategy only works if you have a driver who can do that strategy, you know? So he was unreal. And I'm so glad he got that redemption sort of for the Saturday. Because I was like, oh, Saturday's a write-off. Sprint, starting P19, like out of 22, what are we even doing? But he actually did better on Saturday than he did today. And he did well today as well. He started P8. P8, yes. And he finished P5. He locked in for the last few laps and just overtook everyone because he was on the better tyres again. Strategy just worked for him. But again, that strategy only works if you have a driver who can overtake, and Alex can overtake. So it worked, safe to say. He got the 3-place grid penalty for Sunday because he had a bit of an incident in free practice where he just like went into the back of Victor Martins coming into the pit lane. I don't think he expected Victor, it feels so formal, Martins to slow down as much as he did, and he didn't break in time anyway into the back. Got a 3-place grid penalty. You know, would have been nice to see how he would have done starting 5th, 6th, 5th. Maths isn't mathing today. But yeah, we have a bit of a break now, which I'm glad. Like, it's just nice having someone to root for from your own country. Especially someone like Alex. Like, he seems like a really nice person as well, which makes it so much easier to root for him. And then he also does well, though. That's the thing. I'm not used to this. No, this boy, he's making it to Formula 1, though, guys. I say it every week, and I'll keep saying it until he's there. And I'll be at a race watching him in Formula 1. We're going to hear Aaron Naveen. We're going to hear Aaron Naveen on the podium in Formula 1 one day soon, guys. Okay? And I'll be in the crowd. I really hope I'm in the crowd when that happens, and it will happen. I know it will. I don't know where he's going to go. Right, back to Formula 1. Let's talk about the Grand Prix. Obviously, so Barcelona, as I said earlier, is a very high-tech race. So pit stops and strategy is quite important for it. I wasn't sure who was going to be going for the 2 stops, 3 stops. I wasn't actually expecting Max to go for the 3 stop, but he did carry it out quite successfully enough. Not a lot of people could have, but Max, I tell you what, he can, of course. Another thing about Barcelona is that pole is not always the easiest position to start from. Sometimes you're better starting from P2 to get that down the first straight. But luckily Oscar had the perfect start. He needed the perfect pace and perfect position, and he had both of those, and he just soared into the lead. I was quite worried. I was worried about the start, but I needn't to have been. I should have trusted Oscar more. Yuki had a pit lane start. He was starting the back anyway, but he started on mediums. He was the only one who didn't start on softs. Yuki also had a bit of a setup change, hence why he was starting from the pit lane. But unfortunately, his race didn't really get much better than his qualifying, and it was a weekend to forget for Yuki. I really hope Yuki comes back fighting. I hate seeing Yuki down there, especially when he was doing so well in Visa Cash App Borby. And it was sort of a fear. I mean, I'm sure if you go back to like my episode where Yuki got announced, I was probably like, I'm so happy, but I'm also terrified because what if he can't drive this car? And I don't know, like Red Bull are just going to go through the whole grid until they realize that no one else can drive that car. I don't know. Yuki, just put respect on my boy Yuki, okay? He is doing his best. He's not doing his best. He's doing his best with that car. But he could do better in another car. Put him back in the Visa. Don't. Give him a chance in the Red Bull. See, I'm just like, literally like Voldemort and Quirrell. I have two opinions coming out of my head right now. I just want what's best for Yuki. I want what's best for everyone. The lights out were quick, which I knew they would be because of the degradation of the track. The lights out were quick. I love when they're quick because it doesn't give me time to panic, because sometimes it's long and then I'm just shook. I'm not even driving the car and I'm already lost because I wasn't expecting them to go out. But obviously the cars don't want to be sitting on that track in that heat any longer than they need to be. Norris didn't have the best start, which also obviously aided Piastri in keeping his lead. Verstappen got him on turn 1. Charles had a good move on Russell as well. The moves were, like, turn 1 was eventful. The first lap was eventful, I guess, but without any flags. We had some contacts, but no flags, so well done. Hulk had great pace as well. He had already moved up 5 positions on lap 1 and his race just got better from there. Again, remember, Hulk started P16, so we're P11 at this point. Piastri did have good pace, but Max did manage to keep duress on him for quite a while Lando nearly fell back by 3 seconds in the space of 3 laps. So he was stuck behind Max a bit, not really being able to get the full speed out of the car as he would perhaps behind Piastri, or of course in clean air, not from the Red Bull. Liam was one of the people involved in the contact at the start, in which Alex Albon got front wing damage from that, so Alex boxed lap 7. But honestly, that wasn't too much of a difference from others because Behrman and Tsunoda just pitted 2 laps after that on lap 9 for their strategy. So it wasn't exactly an end of everything for Alex after that, but it would turn out to be after a few more. Ferrari then were told to swap positions. So to make Monaco and how Lewis was feeling after even worse on him, they had to swap positions, which is the right choice. Obviously, they need to do what is better for the team, and Charles was lapping a lot faster than Lewis. So it just had to happen, but like that is so hard on Lewis. I hate when a driver gets told to swap positions. Unless like Daniel is the driver behind that gets to go ahead, then I like it. Liked it, because he's no longer driving. Sainz obviously didn't have a good qualifying, and then his race didn't go much better at the start. He had a slow pit anyway, nearly 11 seconds I think. Lando did finally get his opportunity though to send it down the inside of Max, and he was into P2. Max didn't fight it, of course. Max sort of knew. At that point, he was thinking that this really wasn't his race, but it did sort of end up being his race. But again, his race was more Mercedes, and that stayed throughout the race as well. So I was a little surprised that Max didn't at least fight it a little. But then again, with the tyres, he needed to protect them, and I'm sure he knew what he was doing. So Lando was around 4 seconds behind Piastri after he got ahead of Max. Alonso had that moment in the gravel as well, which is very unusual because there was like no one around him really. Well, it was no one else's fault. He sort of just lost it. A guy, I guess, went into the gravel. Piastri did pull away a bit more from Lando though. He had 5 seconds between him and Lando at around lap 20, and Lando boxed lap 22, Piastri lap 23, which let Verstappen take the lead of the race who had boxed earlier. And it just goes to show, because Yuki was making his second stop while the McLarens and, you know, a few others were making their first stop, because Yuki's second stop was on lap 25. I thought Lawson was driving well, but then he just got a little messy. So he had made some good moves. I thought the move he made on Albon was good, but then it resulted in Albon getting front wing damage. But and then Alex got a 10-second penalty, and he was going to retire the race, but then he got the penalty. So, of course, when he went into the pits to retire the car, he just served the penalty, went back out, and then retired the car afterwards. So he wouldn't obviously carry over that 10-second penalty. That's quite a big grid drop when you convert it. So Max did his second pit around lap 30 from the lead, so obviously that confirmed to us that Max was on his third stop. Leo and Ollie then had an incident, and then I would say this was the part that McLaren were starting to get a bit nervous on, because Lando started to lap faster than Piastri, and I don't think Piastri was doing too much tire protection. Like, they would both be doing similar tire protection, so I was thinking but luckily for McLaren, it stayed clean and Piastri did manage to pull away a bit. Kimi went into the gravel, which brought out a safety car. Safety car was necessary. It was quite a long safety car though. I was a little confused at how long it was. So the safety car ended around lap 60, and then Piastri had another good start. Again, once the safety car happened, the only thing I was saying about was Piastri's restart after that. And he had a good one. He kept it clean. Max had a huge snap. Obviously, the tyres that he were on, not the best for a race start like that at that point in the race. So he didn't have that full control of the car, and Charles overtook him. And they made a bit of contact, Max saying that Charles rammed into him. But looking back on it, you can clearly see that Charles was like at least half a car ahead of Max. So he was ahead, and it wasn't really anything Charles could have done. And then Max also had the incident with George. This is bad, but I love when Max and George have little incidents, because you know the video of George talking about Max, he lashes out when he doesn't get his way, sort of stuff. That's like I know it's a bit more serious because this is their careers and stuff, but for me it's funny. That's my favorite video ever, I think, in Formula 1. And he's so serious about it as well. He's not even it doesn't even sound like he's lashing out in frustration. George, it feels like it's just so practiced and as if he's talking in a murder documentary or something like that. And I haven't, and I know George has said a few things post-race, this race, but nothing quite as dramatic as that, unfortunately. But I'm sure we'll get another one of those moments eventually. But Max was told to let Russell through at this moment. So I'm talking about Max gaining an advantage by going off. I thought it was very clear to see that Max wouldn't have to give that position back. I'm pretty sure the commentators were on the same lines as me. I'm pretty sure I was on the same lines as the commentator, more so because they're professionals. But then GP told Max to give the place to George, which I was quite confused with. And Max, obviously that made Max angry, and he lashed out and he did go into George. I'm pretty sure he didn't even deny it in the post-race interviews. He was like, yeah, what happened happened. That was 100% just a mood out of frustration. And we see that more in F2. I see that a lot in F2, moves and messy incidents purely out of frustration for another driver or frustration on themselves for not having the best start or whatever. And that's definitely what I saw through Max. He basically just shoved Russell off the track. If they were walking, he would have just pushed. He would have just elbowed George, I think, walking past. Ollie also, did I say Ollie's 10-second penalty for his little tussle with Lawson? leaving the track and gaining advantage sort of stuff. So that was added on at the end. If you saw Ollie Behrman's name drop all the way down after the race ended. Max did let Russell through lap 65, and as this was happening, Hulk, who I wasn't focusing on at this point because of the drama, he passed Hamilton. Hulk is so iconic. I am so happy he's back in Formula 1. He's a lot of fun. Like, he just shows up in the middle of nowhere. Like, what are you doing in the top 6 P5 after Max's penalty? So Max did get a 10-second penalty for that. And yeah, Oscar ended up winning the race. So he won by 2.4 seconds, I believe, to Lando. We had Piastri, Norris, Leclerc, Russell, Verstappen, who then dropped back because of his penalty, Hulk, Hamilton, Hadjar, Gasly, Alonso. Hadjar and Gasly as well. Unreal. Hadjar and Gasly actually have sort of similar vibes to me, I think. I don't know. Like, that, I haven't thought about that before. That just came to me when I said that. Does anyone else think that they have similar vibes? I don't care. I think that they have similar vibes. So yeah, Max did get his 10-second penalty, and then he sort of did storm off. He was very annoyed after that race. But you know what? This might be a good thing for Max fans. He might have so much passion for that next race that he'll either be insane, pole, win the race, or like he'll, cause a 10-car pileup. Could go either way. But the other thing that Max is probably a little worried about is that he is now on 11 penalty points. And guess how many you need to get a race ban? 12. So he's one penalty point away from a race ban. I basically think that means he's going to get a race ban, because you do get penalties for, like, it's not just like big incidents you get penalty points for. It's quite easy to get a penalty point. But especially like if you're, maybe you drive so that the way that Max does, like, you could also just, like, it's the same as not finishing in the points, there was no further action after all that between Max and George for leaving the track and gaining the advantage, so Max didn't have to give back that place anyway. And if that didn't happen, Max probably wouldn't have lashed out with that shove, so it could have all been avoided if Max was told not to give the place back. I get why he was, because they were unsure and they realised he would have got a 10-second penalty anyway, and then he got the 10-second penalty for something else. So yeah, not the best. But Canada is next. Wait, have I even spoke about Lance? I'm so sorry, I haven't spoke about Lance. I even wrote it down. Lance Stroll did not race on Sunday. Sorry for not mentioning that before the race, because he was undergoing a procedure for his hand and wrist pain. So if you remember when Stroll broke his wrist, hand, he got an operation in it, and Daniel went to the same, like, surgeon person as him whenever Daniel broke that thing in his hand. So he was beginning to get more pain in it all year, to the start of the year, and it obviously just got quite worse this weekend. And yeah, he was basically not fit to race. He needed to get the procedure. I'm sure, he wanted to get it today to make sure that he was fully fit to race in Canada, his home race, obviously. So I wouldn't be worried about that. I think he'll be fine. And obviously, Aston Martin can't put in a driver in a race who didn't qualify. So he would have needed not to do qualifying, and someone else to do qualifying for someone to replace him in the race. I said that way more complicated than it needed to be. But hopefully, yeah, whatever was the issue there, he has it fixed. I'd say potentially he didn't rest it for long enough the first time, and that does end up causing a bit of a problem. So obviously disappointing for Lance and Aston Martin fans who went to Barcelona, didn't even get to see him race, but obviously his safety and health does come first. Now, riddle of the week. Do you guys want to know what I was talking about? So the main answer was the obvious part, Monaco. It was always going to be Monaco. Monaco 2024. So obviously Charles's win at Monaco. But honestly, when I first wrote the draft of this, I did it related to Daniel. Because the line was like, I launched myself into a pool, but then I couldn't think of a good pool. So I did off the dock, because that's what Charles did. So it would have been Daniel 2018 or Charles 2024. So if you said Daniel 18, you get that point as well. Monaco 2018, sorry. Do you like the race ones? Or should I do a mix of driver ones and then race ones? Or do you want me to keep doing the final chicane brain game where it's like it could be the odd one out, or what's the connection between these? Let me know what you think of the final chicane brain game, what your favorite is, because this is for yous, you know? I'll do whatever you want me to do. I feel like I've finally gained a lot bigger of an Irish audience, especially on TikTok, because I post a lot of, like, you know, it's expensive to watch Formula One, and I post like my reaction to like every Alex Dunn race and qualifying session and stuff like that. Like I did the commentary. So if you are wanting to watch Formula 2 and you can't, I do that. If people want me to I did that with Formula 1 last year, but I haven't done it this year because, you know, it's a bit easier to find the content from Formula 1. But if someone wants me to do that, just let me know and I will. So yeah, if you want that, you can find me on TikTok at cristinanneboylan. I won't see you next week because we don't have a race next week, but I'll see you the week after for Canada. Ugh, I'm already thinking about commentary. I gotta stop. I have to be the biggest hater in the world, guys. And I don't even care. I deserve to be. So if you're in Ireland, I hope you have a good bank holiday. Hope you had a good bank holiday weekend because it's over now, because I post this on Monday. And I will see you for the Canadian Grand Prix. Bye.